Hello everyone, and thank you so much for tuning into the ADI conference, Rebirth of Education After COVID, and also attending my session on reimagining education and identifying creative potential. I am Amnah, a 15-year-old 10th grader from Pakistan. I am also a founder, creator, activist, and advocate. I received the Young Achiever Award at the age of 10 and was also titled Pakistan's youngest female participant in a digital exchange by the Ministry of Social Welfare. Today, I will be talking about a topic that has changed my life drastically, and that is education and how it looked like pre-COVID, during COVID, post-COVID, and how it has impacted me throughout my journey. So I'll start from education pre-COVID, what it looked like to me in my culture, my community, and my country. So I live in Pakistan, a country where the educational mainstream schools use the rote-based learning method that limits the creative capabilities and thinking styles of an individual. Because in this system not much focus is given on skill building and practical learning, and as a student of this method and being able to go through this method by myself, I know how it limiting it feels to be studying in a system where education is only based on how well you can learn instead of how well you can practically implement it. So before COVID-19, education only meant to be able to learn something and forget it after a test. That was something that I believed because of the mainstream system that is used here in Pakistan, so the rote-based learning method, and that had given me a limited thinking, so not much creativeness, and that was a common perspective among students here in Pakistan. When it comes to social media and teens, so social media plays another very big factor in how limiting the system gets when students aren't provided with any co-curriculum activities. So if I would look into my community, I would see that most of my friends would be using social media platforms like Snapchat, TikTok, YouTube, Instagram. They don't want to know how it happened and how they can learn it. They want to know why it's practically important in their life. And when not provided with that information, students tend to lose interest in the topic and the subject, and then that leads to students using social media and be getting their interest peaked in these sort of activities. So as a young student starts primary school and then goes to university, so this whole journey of learning, this whole path, so when a young person goes through this whole path, not many schools focus on co-curricular activities through a student's educational path. When co-curricular activities are not focused on, a student's practical based learning and skill based training is not much common and is not implemented. This leads to a lot of confusion when students are choosing their future path and their future career. So, how did COVID-19 impact me and my learning? My mom introduced me to Coursera, an online platform that offers online courses, and my first course at that time helped me realize and reimagine what education meant to me. So to me, education only meant learning something and then forgetting it after you write it down on a piece of paper. But when I took part of that online course, it gave me a very different perspective on what education meant and the way practical and skill-based learning was useful and implemented in that way. The instructors in those courses used a very different method, something that I wasn't aware of and which was completely unique to me. And being exposed to such a method provided me with the opportunity to self-realize how important it was to implement and execute the practical-based learning method when it comes to normal learning in schools and educational systems. And that provided me with a learning edge over other students as these sort of skills were only taught in university levels. And that led me to being a lifelong learner. So I completed more than 80 courses, 40 plus guided projects, lots of programs. I got selected for Pakistan's most prestigious STEM school, 2 internships, and also a fellowship. So I did courses on topics ranging from web design to artificial intelligence to entrepreneurship and on and so on. And all of these courses and all of these skills that I acquired from these courses gave me the thirst and also the interest to keep on learning and keep on doing new things and learning new skills. Well, it gave me and it made me realize that I got this opportunity other young girls like me didn't. And then I wanted to find out why. So the girls in my community didn't get the chance to be able to do the things that I was doing. And that was because here we are still using the rote-based learning method, and there are lots of stereotypes and barriers that girls have to face when it comes to learning and being able to learn new skills. And these stereotypes that surrounded girl education, some of them would be that girls can't pursue higher education, or STEM fields are not for girls, and that girls should stay at home, and all of these stereotypes that I found in my community that made me realize that we need to bring change and need to break all of these stereotypes for girls to be provided with the same opportunities and the same resources as boys did. And we need to educate and bring more awareness on why girl education is important and why every gender should get the same opportunities and the same resources that the other does. And to bring change, to invoke awareness and change in perspectives, I took some steps to advocate for what really mattered to me. As a girl myself, and also being able to go through the same system as others here do, and living and experiencing the same things that many others did, and having a very different perspective due to COVID, all made me realize that we need to educate and empower more people to get their daughters and their sisters into schools, and also to promote education through educational awareness and being actively advocating for what mattered. So advocacy is not all about just going and telling people of by writing down something on posters or sharing awareness posts on social media. It's much more than that. It's being able to share your story and how it impacted you, and understanding what it really means to the other person that you are campaigning to. Being able to actively tell people of how they can play a part and how they can play a role into getting more girls into educational fields and STEM fields, and also to promoting this campaign among girls themselves. And that I did through Global Creative Hub by starting an educational platform called Global Creative Hub, which is trying to promote 21st century skills through hands-on trainings and global programs. So, combining my mom's mission to train and educate at-risk youth and my passion for STEM and tech, we started Global Creative Hub. And our main motive is to bring reforms in the educational system by incorporating 21st century skills and skill-based learning. Apart from that, like I mentioned before, social media is playing a very big part in mental health issues among teens. And that happens mostly because students aren't aware of what is right and what is wrong. And for that reason, I have created a mental health app that helps teens to identify the influence of certain factors on their mood. And that work is mainly to promote good health and well-being. Together, so one key takeaway from this session would be that if we work together and if we try to become advocates, try to promote the knowledge that we have, the perspective that we have, maybe we will be able to bring change, to bring change in what education means to us or anything else in general. And when you advocate for something and when you are passionate about something, you are able to achieve more. So some of my achievements were creating this educational platform, this mental health app, and mainly working with organizations to bring their programs here to Pakistan, and also advocating what I'm passionate about through various channels and through various methods. So the UN SDGs. We all know of the global goals that everyone is working and striving for to make the world a better place. And my main focus is to promote three of the UN SDGs: quality education, gender equality, decent work, and economic growth. And this I do through Global Creative Hub. Thank you everybody for tuning in today to listen to my session. So if you would like to connect with me, I use LinkedIn. You can reach out via email or visit my website, and even on Twitter to raise my voice and become an advocate for the things I care for. Happy being able to present here, and thank you so much everybody. If you have any questions, please feel free to ask, and I'll be more than happy to answer them.